There's a moment that happens to all of us. You get that text, that name pops up on your screen, and before you've even opened it, something shifts inside you. You feel it in your gut. A strange drop, a subtle discomfort, a tightening in your chest. But then your mind jumps in. It says, don't be dramatic. Maybe he just wants to talk. Maybe he's changed, and suddenly you're no longer listening to your instinct, you're negotiating with it. But here's the truth. Your instinct is not a mood. It's not a passing feeling. It's a message. It's your emotional intelligence, built from everything you've experienced with this person, trying to protect you before your logic can convince you otherwise. Your body often knows before your brain does. That discomfort isn't paranoia, it's pattern recognition. Think about it. How many times have you overridden that first internal signal only to later say, I knew I shouldn't have replied? That isn't hindsight. That was instinct trying to speak before you shut it down. And we do this because we're afraid of missing out on something we want to be true. We hope maybe this time will be different. Maybe they finally mean it. Maybe it's the beginning of something new. But your instinct isn't guessing. It's drawing from a deep well of past behavior. His actions, your pain, the cycles you've been through. It remembers the broken promises, the nights you waited for a reply that never came, the anxiety you felt when his words didn't match his behavior. And when he contacts you again, that part of you, your inner wisdom, tries to warn you, be careful. We've been here before. That's not fear. Woo! That's self-preservation. It's the wiser part of you stepping up to say, you know what this costs, choose wisely. And what often happens is that instead of trusting that voice, we label it as overreacting. We say, maybe I'm just scared of intimacy, or maybe I'm being too closed off. No, you're not scared of love, you're scared of repeating pain you've already survived. That's not weakness, that's growth. So the next time you get that message, before you even type a response, check in with your instinct, not your emotions, not your ego. Your instinct. Ugh. What is your body trying to tell you? What is your gut saying before your head starts spinning? It's easy to dismiss a mood, but don't dismiss a message, especially when it's coming from the part of you that's been quietly protecting your peace, even when your heart wasn't ready to let go. Because the part of you that hesitates, that's not fear, that's wisdom. Listen to it, trust it, it's on your side. When someone from your past reaches out, especially someone who once held a deep emotional grip on you, it's easy to let your hope take the lead. One message, hey, I've been thinking about you, and suddenly your mind jumps to the possibility that everything might be different this time. Maybe he's changed. Maybe he finally realized what he lost. Maybe this is the moment you've been waiting for. But here's the harsh truth. Just because he contacted you does not mean he's changed. Contact is easy. Real change is hard. And we often confuse the two because we're emotionally invested. We want to believe that the pain we went through had a purpose, that the distance woke him up, that he finally sees your worth. But wanting someone to have changed isn't the same as them actually changing. You have to look at the contact for what it is, not what you want it to be. A message is a ping, a signal. It might mean he's feeling lonely. It might mean he misses the comfort you gave him. It might even mean he's trying to test the waters to see if the door is still open. But what it rarely means is, I've done the inner work. I've faced my patterns. I'm ready to show up for you consistently now. Real change takes time, effort, and accountability. It shows up in consistent action, not random messages. Anyone can send a text. Anyone can say they miss you. That doesn't take growth. That takes seconds. But showing up differently, proving they've learned from their mistakes, owning the pain they caused you, and taking responsibility, that's the stuff of real change. And that doesn't come through a message. It comes through consistent, grounded behavior over time. Don't mistake the noise of contact for the substance of transformation. Your hope might want to attach meaning to his message, but your wisdom has to ask, what's really changed? Has he shown any growth, any accountability? Has he done anything to repair the damage done or earn a place back in your life? You've probably already given this person more chances than they deserved. You've hoped, explained, forgiven, and waited. So now the real question is, does this message come from someone who's ready to step up? Or someone who just misses the benefits of being in your life without wanting the responsibility? When someone truly changes, they don't come back the same way they left. they come back differently. They come back with clarity, effort, and humility. Anything less than that isn't change. It's comfort-seeking, and you deserve more than a recycled version of the past. So when he contacts you, take a deep breath and remember, the message might feel new, but if the man behind it isn't, then nothing has actually changed. When someone from your past suddenly reaches out, there's a knee-jerk reaction many people feel. This sense of pressure to respond immediately, as if the message itself demands your time, your energy, your presence. But let's get something straight. Just because someone contacts you doesn't mean they automatically get access to you. You don't owe anyone an immediate reply just because they decided to show up on their timeline. Sometimes the most powerful perspective doesn't come from talking things through. It comes from silence, from space, from distance. When someone steps away or when you take that step back, it gives you a new vantage point. You begin to see things that were impossible to recognize when you were emotionally entangled, trying to fix things, trying to understand them, trying to hold everything together. That distance you once feared, it's often the very thing that clears the fog. When we're in constant contact with someone, especially someone we care about deeply, emotions are running high. We're reacting instead of reflecting. We're responding based on what we want the relationship to be instead of what it actually is. But when you step away, even temporarily, something amazing happens. The noise quiets down. You get to listen, not to their words, but to your own truth. Sometimes we need silence to hear ourselves clearly. This is why that moment when he contacts you again is so critical. Because you may have finally started to feel peaceful. You may have started to sleep better, think clearer, regain your sense of self. And then, bam, a message from him, and suddenly your brain is thrown back into chaos, trying to decode the meaning, wondering if you should respond, replaying old memories. But take a moment. Remember how clear things were becoming before the message. Remember the emotional distance you created, not to punish him, but to protect you. That space wasn't just about moving on, it was about moving up, to a higher standard, to a stronger sense of self, to a relationship where you no longer have to beg to be understood or valued. Distance reveals a lot. It reveals how they behave when you're not available to them. It reveals how committed they are when access isn't easy. And most importantly, it reveals how you feel when you're no longer caught in the emotional whirlpool of their presence. Do you feel lighter without the conversations that used to drain you? Do you feel more in control of your time, your mood, your life? That's not a coincidence. That's clarity. Sometimes people need to miss you to realize your worth. But don't confuse their missing you with actual transformation. And don't allow someone's reappearance to undo the clarity you earned in their absence. When you're caught up in the moment, it's tempting to fill the silence, to respond quickly, to go back. But sometimes the most powerful decision you can make is to not respond. Not from anger, not from ego, but from a place of knowing what peace feels like and refusing to trade it for confusion. So when distance gives you clarity, don't rush to blur it again. Hold on to it. Let it guide you. Because it's often in that quiet space, away from their noise, that you finally hear the voice that matters most, your own. There's a reason why so many people go back to relationships that hurt them. It's not because they've forgotten the pain. It's because something about that person or that dynamic feels familiar. It feels like home, not necessarily a safe home, but one your nervous system has learned to navigate. And when someone from your past reaches out, especially someone who once had emotional power over you, your body remembers that pattern even before your mind does. Old patterns have a strange comfort to them. They're predictable. You know how the story plays out. You know what to expect. The highs, the lows, the pull, the distance, and part of you might crave it. Not because it's good for you, but because it's what you know. Familiarity can easily disguise itself as connection. But here's the danger. Just because something feels familiar doesn't mean it's healthy. In fact, the most damaging relationships are often the ones we feel magnetically drawn to, over and over again, without truly understanding why. That pull, it's not always passion. Sometimes it's unresolved trauma. Sometimes it's unmet childhood needs. Sometimes it's just habit. When he contacts you again, your first instinct might be to slip back into the rhythm you once had. You may find yourself replaying the best moments, editing out the worst. But remind yourself that pattern you're tempted to return to, that cycle of intensity, disappointment, false hope, and emotional drain. It's the same one that left you exhausted, questioning yourself and doubting your worth. Recognizing a pattern is the first step. Breaking it is the real work. This is where your strength and awareness come in. You have to pause and ask, why does this feel so comfortable? Is it because it's what I truly want? Or because it's what I'm used to tolerating? Patterns can keep you stuck in relationships that do nothing for your growth, simply because they feel emotionally familiar. What's scary is that new healthy dynamics might not feel as intense at first. They might feel calm, grounded, even boring compared to the chaos you're used to. But that's not a lack of passion. That's what safety feels like. That's what emotional maturity looks like. Don't let the comfort of the past keep you from building a better future. Just because you could go back doesn't mean you should. The path you've been on, the one of healing, reflection, growth, that's not meant to loop back to what hurt you. It's meant to lead you toward better. So when the message comes and that old feeling starts to rise, take a breath. Remind yourself that patterns can be broken. Familiar isn't always right. And you're not here to repeat history. You're here to rewrite it. When someone who once let you down reaches out, it can stir something deep inside you. You wonder why now? Why this moment? Why, after all the silence, the mixed signals, or the hurt, he's suddenly thinking of you. And part of you might begin to think, maybe I was always enough. He just didn't realize it until now. That thought can feel flattering, comforting even. But don't be fooled. His decision to contact you now says more about him than it does about you. His message, whether it's a casual, hey, how have you been, or something deeper, is rarely about your value. It's about his circumstances, his loneliness, his guilt, his nostalgia. It's maybe he's feeling regret, or maybe something else in his life didn't work out. People often return not when they finally get it, but when something in their world becomes inconvenient or empty. That's not about your worth. That's about his timing. And if you attach your self-esteem to his message, you give away all your power. You begin to tell yourself a story, that his attention equals your validation, that him reaching out proves you mattered. But you already mattered. You always did. You just forgot that for a while because he didn't treat you accordingly. If someone failed to choose you, appreciate you, or show up for you the first time, their sudden reappearance doesn't magically erase that. And it doesn't mean they've changed or finally recognize your worth. It often just means they're chasing a feeling they used to get from you, a sense of emotional safety, admiration, or connection. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. Does their timing align with your standards? Or are they simply hoping you'll be in the same emotional place they left you? Your value doesn't fluctuate based on when someone finally decides to reach out. Your worth is not on layaway until he's ready to grow up. Just because someone remembers you doesn't mean they deserve you. Remember, someone can miss you without being ready for you. They can feel drawn to you without being capable of truly meeting you where you are now. So don't mistake their timing for your value. They're not the same thing. If he couldn't see your worth before, it's not your job to teach it to him now. And if he can only recognize it when you're gone, ask yourself this: is it love, or is it absence that he's reacting to? You are not an option waiting on standby. You're not a convenient memory. You're a whole person who deserves someone who recognizes your worth without needing to lose you first. Let his message be what it is, a reflection of where he is, not proof of what you're worth, because your value was never tied to his ability to see it. When someone from your past contacts you again, especially someone who once caused emotional confusion or pain, it's easy to be swept up by the moment. Your heart might flutter. A wave of nostalgia might hit. You may even feel hope creeping in, whispering, maybe this is it. Maybe he means it this time. But before you get pulled back into the old rhythm, stop and ask yourself one powerful grounding question. What has actually changed? Not what he's saying, not the tone of his message, not the emoji he used or how long he waited to text you. What has actually changed? You see, change is not in the contact. It's in the consistent behavior that follows. It's in the actions, the patterns, the way someone shows up day after the message is sent. Words are easy. They cost nothing. People can say they miss you, regret losing you, or want to see how you do. But unless that message is followed by real, observable, mature effort, then nothing has changed at all. In fact, the real test isn't whether he says something different. It's whether you see him do something different. Has he acknowledged the hurt, taken accountability, expressed an understanding of how he made you feel? Is he showing signs of emotional growth? Not just with you, but in how he approaches life in general. Or is he still the same person in a different outfit? We often confuse time passing with growth, but time doesn't equal change. Work equals change. Self-awareness therapy, humility, effort, that's what makes someone different. A few months of silence followed by a "hey stranger" does not mean he's done the work. It might just mean he's lonely or nostalgic or bored. Don't reward proximity over progress. You've likely done a lot of work to heal, to rebuild your confidence, to get back in touch with your voice. You've probably had to untangle yourself from overthinking, self-blame, and heartbreak. So when that message comes through, honor the strength it took to get where you are now. Don't throw it away for a recycled version of the past wrapped in a new tone. The truth is, people don't change until they're willing to get uncomfortable, until they're ready to confront themselves. If he's done that, it'll be obvious. Not in his words, but in his energy, consistency, and presence. If he hasn't, you'll feel it too. That same uncertainty, that same push and pull, that same emotional roller coaster you promised yourself you'd never ride again. So when he reaches out, don't rush, don't romanticize, don't imagine what could be. Look at what is, and ask with clarity and self-respect. What has actually changed? If the answer is not much, then you already know what to do, because you didn't come this far just to turn back. There's something deeply disorienting about getting a message from someone you've worked hard to move on from. Even if you feel stronger now, even if weeks or months have passed, that one ping can shake you. It catches you off guard. Suddenly your heart races, your mind replays old conversations, and the emotional wounds you thought had scabbed over begin to sting again. But here's the truth. When you respond from that emotional place, when you lead with old feelings instead of clarity, you risk tearing open wounds that were finally starting to heal. Healing is not always loud or dramatic. Often it's subtle. It shows up in the way you stop checking your phone, in the way your chest doesn't tighten at the sound of his name, in the way you begin to find peace in your own company again. That's healing. But emotional responses, especially quick, reactive ones, can pull you right back into the emotional storm you worked so hard to step out of. You might feel the urge to respond immediately, to express how much his silence hurt you, or to tell him you're still angry, or that you missed him. You might think that expressing all of this will bring closure, or connection, or clarity. But most of the time, it doesn't. It just reattaches you to someone who may not be reaching out for the same reasons you're responding. Reacting emotionally gives away your power. It puts your healing on pause while you engage in an old dynamic that deep down you already know isn't healthy. It's like opening a wound to see if it's really healing, and in doing so, you let that person dictate your peace again. You allow their presence to set the emotional temperature in your life. That doesn't mean you should be cold or bitter. It means you should be wise. Responding from a calm, self-protected place is strength. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is not reply right away, or at all. It's not about punishment, it's about protection. You're not being dramatic by guarding your heart. You're being responsible with it. Think of all the nights you cried, the moments you doubted yourself, the energy it took to detach. That healing came at a cost. Don't spend it recklessly. Don't throw yourself back into emotional chaos for the sake of a text that might not lead anywhere. If you do decide to respond, do it from clarity, not from craving, not from missing, not from unresolved pain. Sit with it first. Breathe, journal, talk to someone you trust. Make sure that whatever you say isn't an emotional release. It's a conscious choice rooted in self-respect. You've made progress. You've worked for your peace. Don't let a familiar voice reopen a chapter you've already survived. Some messages are best left unanswered, not out of bitterness, but because your healing is too precious to risk again. When someone who hurt you reaches out, especially after a long period of silence, your mind can immediately latch onto one hope. Maybe now I'll finally get closure. It feels like a chance to make sense of the unanswered questions, the sudden distance, the emotional chaos they left behind. You think, maybe this is the conversation I've been waiting for. The one where they explain everything, apologize, and help me let go properly. But that's where the trap lies. Because what seems like closure is often just a temporary emotional high that fades as quickly as it arrived. True closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you. It comes from the work you've done to process your pain, understand the lessons, and choose peace over prolonged confusion. When you seek closure from the very person who broke your trust or disappeared without explanation, you're placing your healing in their hands. And if they were incapable of giving you clarity back then, what makes you believe they'll suddenly provide it now? His message might sound gentle, nostalgic, or even remorseful, but that doesn't mean it carries the weight of real resolution. Often it's just someone checking in to see if the door is still open. And if you open it, hoping for healing, you may find yourself in the same emotional loop that once left you feeling drained and unimportant. Closure that's dependent on another person's explanation will always be fragile, because they can rewrite the story however they like. They might minimize what happened. They might avoid the truth, or worse, they might not even remember things the way you do. Closure isn't about hearing the right words. It's about deciding that your peace is more important than a perfect ending. So when he sends that message, ask yourself, am I hoping he'll give me something I've already had to give myself? Because if you've already been picking up the pieces, reflecting, growing, and learning to let go, then you've already created your own closure, even if it didn't look the way you thought it would. The danger in reopening the door is that it might not offer healing. It might just reopen wounds. You'll start reanalyzing, reattaching, and reimagining what could have been. All because you were hoping to get from him something that deep down he may never be able or willing to give. So be honest with yourself. If what you truly want is peace, don't go searching for it in the same place you lost it. Don't let one message convince you that closure is still out there, waiting to be delivered by someone who already had the chance to give it and didn't. You don't need one more conversation to validate your worth. You don't need a final chapter written by someone else. You get to end the story yourself, in your own way, on your own terms. And that's real closure. Curiosity is a powerful force. It's natural to wonder why he's reaching out now, what he wants, and how it feels to hear from him after all this time. That little voice inside your head can be relentless, whispering questions like, maybe he's changed, or maybe this time will be different, or I deserve to know what he's thinking. But here's the reality. Curiosity, when it's fueled by emotional vulnerability, can quickly pull you back into a cycle you fought hard to escape. You have to remember that curiosity isn't just innocent wondering. It can be a trap. It's a sneaky way your mind convinces you to re-engage before you're ready, or even when it's not in your best interest. You might tell yourself, I'll just check the message once just to see what he says. But one look can lead to many more. One reply can open the door to conversations that stir up old feelings and doubts. Before you know it, you're back in that emotional space where your peace is compromised. Protecting your peace means recognizing when curiosity is trying to manipulate your emotions. It means understanding that some questions don't need immediate answers from someone who has already shown you their true colors. You've already seen the patterns. You know how the story ends when you let curiosity drive the narrative. The challenge is that curiosity often feels urgent and compelling. It's like a spark in the dark. You want to follow it because it promises clarity or connection. But sometimes, that spark is just an illusion. It doesn't lead to light, it leads to confusion. It doesn't bring you closer to healing, it drags you further from it. So how do you protect your peace against curiosity? It starts with boundaries. Boundaries are your emotional guardrails. They remind you of your worth and your goals. When a message arrives from someone you're better off without, boundaries help you pause and ask, will engaging with this person serve my growth, or will it set me back? If the answer isn't a clear, confident yes, then it's okay to say no. It's okay to not respond. It's okay to choose yourself over the temptation of curiosity. Curiosity can be managed. It doesn't have to control you. You can channel that energy into self-reflection, journaling, talking to trusted friends, or focusing on your goals. When you do, you turn curiosity from a potential pitfall into a tool for self-awareness and empowerment. Remember, your peace is one of your most valuable assets. It's the foundation for your happiness, confidence, and emotional health. Don't trade it for temporary answers or the fleeting hope that maybe this time things will be different. You've come too far to give away your calm for uncertainty. Trust your instincts when they tell you to guard your heart. Curiosity can wait, your peace cannot. At the end of the day, the most powerful tool you have is your own instinct. That quiet, wise voice inside you knows more than you give it credit for. It's been guiding you all along, even when your mind wanted to ignore it, or your heart hoped for something different. When he reaches out, remember, yours isn't defined by his timing or his intentions. It's defined by how you honor yourself, by the boundaries you set and the peace you protect. Don't let old patterns pull you back into confusion or pain. Don't mistake his message for proof of your value, or assume that his reaching out means everything has changed. Instead, ask yourself the hard questions. Check in with your heart, but listen to your instincts first. Are you responding from strength or from old wounds? Are you opening the door because you're curious, or because you genuinely see change and respect in his actions? Your healing, your growth, and your happiness belong to you, not to him. So stand firm, trust your gut, choose yourself first, always. Oh, because when you do that, you'll never have to chase validation or settle for less than you deserve. You'll attract the respect, love, and consistency that matches your true value. This moment, right now, is your opportunity to rewrite your story. Don't make the mistake of losing yourself again in someone else's timing. Trust your instincts, protect your peace, and keep moving forward with confidence. You are more than enough exactly as you are.